So it's the middle of the night, it's the middle of the quarantine. I'm really sad. I don't get to clean teeth right now. I don't get to see my patients. And we're gonna talk about the anti-fluoride movement to heal the hole in my heart. I have Oren here with me. Oren has all of his teeth, and he's not actually going to be doing anything. We're not going to be using him to demonstrate. I'm kind of just really proud of him, and he's here with us in spirit. So, people who hate fluoride are kind of a weird group. They're very similar to the anti-vaxxers in that they're uneducated, but also they tend to speak a certain way. They tend to speak in absolutes and use really non-scientific or unscientific arguments. So they'll say things like, fluoride causes cancer, and fluoride sets you on fire. Um, Fluoride encroaches on my freedom to choose to have cavities. Things like that. And you'll hear scientifically literate people speaking in more just more careful language. They tend to say things like, there is evidence to suggest, there is a correlation here, I have seen success with this, and I like this other thing personally. They are very careful with their language because they're liable for other people's health, and quacks on the internet are not, and they don't care who they hurt. There's my soapbox. Now, my larger soapbox is that fluoride obviously is not bad for you. Your government is not poisoning you with fluoride. Fluoride is generally good for you in appropriate amounts, like every other mineral or nutrient that we have. But I found this website that I kind of really love. They sell unfluoridated water, and that's complete nonsense. You need fluoridated water. It's the best thing you can do to prevent cavities, is drink fluoridated water. But I love the website because they're quacks who use very scientific language. I didn't realize that they were trying to sell me a product until I read the source, which is which is a company. And I kind of want to just read a segment that I love, and I'm going to read it in my salesperson voice, obviously. So, the first and most basic thing to know about fluoride is that not all fluoride is created equal. That's true. There are many types, both naturally occurring and synthetic, that you will come across while researching water. The most common misconception is that small amounts of natural fluoride found in water are extremely harmful. That is actually a common misconception, and I like where this is going at this point. I was fooled. I was a goof, thinking that this was going to be a pro-fluoride argument. Because yeah, that sounds like it's gonna come at you with a fluoride is good for you smack, but it keeps going. This natural version of fluoride is called calcium fluoride and is usually found in soil. So I guess it's good because it comes from the dirt. With any sort of spring or natural source of water, there will always be trace amounts of calcium fluoride. Of course, like anything else consumed in extreme excess. This type of fluoride does have the potential to cause health problems. This is most commonly an issue in rural parts of India, which is like weird, I don't know why that's relevant, where the consumption of groundwater along with elevated levels of calcium fluoride caused an outbreak of skeletal fluorosis, or a calcification of the joints that can cause discomfort and deformity. We actually have fluorosis like reported in the United States, so I don't know why they had to come for India like that, but I find it interesting. Because right now, it doesn't sound super anti-fluoride. It sounds like a concerned person. Uh, um, it just sounds like a concerned person who's going to present you with the nuances of fluoride that I guess a lot of people care about. Um, and it doesn't, of course, because another one of the most common types of fluoride is sodium fluoride. This is a synthetic, industrial version and has been shown to be more harmful, although there is still much speculation surrounding the topic. There's not. It is widely believed that sodium fluoride is found in consumer products, pesticides, and drinking water, and contains cancer-causing properties. In its purest form, sodium fluoride is actually capable of eating through concrete. Now, I had to look that up because that's such a wild claim. And the only thing I could find was not sodium fluoride burning through concrete. It was actually a different chemical also used for water. And the thing is that a lot of things can burn other thdon't If your stomach acid is put on your skin, it will burn your skin. I don't know if you've ever had I don't know if you've ever had hydrochloric acid on your skin before, but it hurts. It starts burning in just like a couple seconds, and then you get like a little red patch on your skin, and you wipe it off frantically. Um, I've had it on my skin because I was a young fool who had just graduated high school once, and I got to handle the 1 molar concentration of hydrochloric acid, and I used a little dropper and I put it on my skin like an idiot, and then my lab partner did the same thing with a bigger drop of skin to prove that he was a bigger, manlier man than me, and we both got chemical burns. But when it's in your stomach, it's fine because your stomach has protective measures to make sure that it doesn't burn through all your organs. Anything in the wrong place can be dangerous. Oxygen. Oxygen can catch fire, but when you breathe, you don't catch fire. You have oxygen in you all the time, and you're usually not on fire. Hydrogen is also very much in your body, and you're usually, again, not on fire. But if you get a bunch of hydrogen in, say, a balloon, and you set the balloon on fire, yeah, it's gonna burn. So I don't understand why they would even mention that. So it wasn't sodium fluoride, it was actually this thing called HSF, and HSF can in fact burn through concrete in huge amounts. What happened was magical. There was a leak from this giant truck at a water plant, and the giant truck just let out this huge amount of HSF, and yeah, it burned through the concrete, and it was controlled, and then it was fine. And the reason we use that is because when it is in a small amount in your body, it doesn't actually burn you. It's good for you. And I want to be very clear that the amount of fluoride in our water is extremely minuscule. I'm talking like the recommended amount is like zero point 0.7 to 1.2 parts per million. That means you have 1 speck of fluoride in a million specks of water. And that doesn't cause issues. It generally just does not cause issues. Moreover, you have fluoride in your breast milk. So, I don't know, is your baby going to get cancer because you gave it breast milk? Probably not. Statistically speaking, no. No, it's not. And I just, it tickles me that people have this problem. Um, Another thing is that, yeah, fluoride is naturally occurring in groundwater, and a lot of people actually do get hurt and end up with deformities, permanent deformities, because of fluoride, because the government wasn't controlling the fluoride in the water. So actually one of the first times we observed fluoride was in the 1800s, and it was something called like the Colorado mottled tooth or something. But basically what happened is the guy went up to Colorado because he'd heard about this town full of people with brown, just spaces, brown little cavitated portions of their teeth. And these brown stains did not go away. They were there forever. And there were also instances of skeletal fluorosis because fluoride not only concentrates in your teeth, it also concentrates in your bones. So when we talk about skeletal fluorosis, it's that same thing happening. You get dents in your bones, these brown little dents. And yeah, it can cause deformities. And the problem there was that there was a heck ton of fluoride in their water. There was an insane amount, a genuinely unhealthy amount of fluoride in their water that we would never have today because we do control the amount of fluoride in our water. And if you are responsible about it, you will not see fluorosis. I'll put pictures up because I want people to see and note that they have never seen another person with fluorosis. So there are kind of two ways it can manifest. It can either manifest as kind of like a white spot on your teeth, when the rest of the tooth is sort of off color, like the rest of your enamel. There will be just a weird kind of white section. And then the other section is what you hear about, and it's that mottled tooth look. Um, and that's going to be those brown, sort of caved in regions. And what that is, the funny thing about that is that those people didn't have cavities. And that was the interesting thing. Those people had ugly teeth, but their teeth were ridiculously strong. They did not get cavities. And so that's kind of how we figured out that it was good for us. You know, as unfortunate as it is that so many people turned out with an aesthetic issue, they didn't have that bacterial issue. So you may be wondering, um, why would I want to take fluoride if it poses a risk to my tooth beauty? And first of all, it doesn't if you were born after 1800, but also I kind of want to get into how fluoride helps prevent cavities, and it's really cool. So a common misconception is that cavities are caused by sugar, and they're not. Sugar just sort of helps the process along. What happens is there are bacteria in your mouth that also eat sugar. And I love explaining this to kids. You know, the bacteria like the same foods as you. They like candy, chips, bread, anything that's going to stick to your teeth. And they'll eat that same food too, which is already gross. But then, it's actually not the bacteria that cause the cavity. It's that the bacteria excrete an acid, and that acid causes the cavity. And when you explain it to kids, you say the bacteria eat the same food you do, and then they poop out an acid. And that acid eats the tooth away. And then what that kid does is they go home, they brush their teeth, and they tell all their friends to brush their teeth, and maybe you've saved a few people a cavity. It brings me joy. Fluoride can help slow the metabolism of those bacteria and also slow the growth. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is much cooler and requires a little bit of small chemistry. So I'm going to do my best to explain this because it's very basic, and if you've taken a chemistry class before, you'll understand. If you haven't, welcome, you're going to get a very, very sparse chemistry lesson. So the periodic table of elements is set up so that you can tell how many electrons an atom has, or an element has, on a single atom. What you want to pay attention to is the number of electrons on the outer shell. Now, atoms like having a full shell of electrons, which usually means 8. Now, fluorine has 7 electrons on the outside of that atom there, so it only needs 1 electron to go, and it's going to be very, very excited to get that electron. Now, the way that atoms tend to get electrons is that they share one with another atom or another element. If you have only 1 electron to go before getting that full shell, you are going to, 1, try extra hard to get it, and 2, you are going to hold on to that extra electron because you like having a full shell. Now, fluorine has 7, oxygen has 6, so it has 2 electrons to go to get that full shell. So it's not going to be as motivated to get it. It's like, I've lived without a full shell this long, I can live without it another day. It still wants those extra electrons, but it's not going to go out of its way for it necessarily. Now, we also know that certain things form hydrogen bonds. Now, the things that form hydrogen bonds are, of course, hydrogen, as well as fluorine, oxygen, and nitrogen. Now, hydrogen bonds are very strong, and your teeth are made up of hydroxyapatite crystals, which contain hydrogen and oxygen, and they're actually really cool. If you've ever seen a selenite wand, they look very similar to that. It's sort of like a long, rod-shaped crystal. And those hydrogen bonds help make a really, really strong tooth formation. Your teeth are the strongest part of your body. Now, when you add fluoride into the mix, those fluoride ions, replace the oxygen and hydrogen groups. So because fluoride wants that extra electron, because it only has 1 to go, it is going to form more hydrogen bonds, and it's also going to form stronger hydrogen bonds. And it's kind of going to be like a rubber band. Now, if you're pulling on one rubber band, you can see that you can pull it pretty far, it's going to be loose, you can snap it more easily, but if you've got two rubber bands, you can't pull it as far, and it's going to be a lot harder to snap. So what this means is that the hydrogen bonds in the new hydroxyapatite crystals that are now fluorohydroxyapatite crystals are going to be tighter. They're going to be closer together. So the tooth itself will become more dense, more hard. And it is also going to make it much more difficult to break those bonds, so it will be much harder to dissolve the enamel because the fluorohydroxyapatite crystals are not going to be very soluble. It's going to take a lot more to dissolve them. And that's all really cool. So the reason I took so long to go through that process with you is because in the very next segment of this article, yes, we're still talking about the article. Yes, I'm still sad. And yes, I know I said I wasn't going to use Orin, but I genuinely wasn't expecting to use Orin. Um, the next segment of this article says that studies had previously shown that moderate fluoridation does help slow down the process of tooth decay. And that's really sketchy language because it it sort of implies that tooth decay is inevitable, which it isn't. Um, Cavities are a disease, and they are one of the most common diseases. They are the most common disease, I believe, among children. And they are 100% preventable. There are ways to avoid even becoming contaminated, even getting that bacteria in the first place. But most of us do end up getting it. And even with that bacteria in your mouth, cavities are still preventable. There's this really common misconception that we're all going to lose our teeth someday if we live long enough, and that's just not the case. It is true that elderly people need to be more vigilant, that they're more likely to lose their teeth, but an elderly person who takes care of their teeth, who goes to the dentist, who brushes and who flosses and who does take care of their teeth, will keep their teeth for their whole life. You know, people with diabetes often lose their teeth, but if they manage their diabetes, if they are vigilant about their oral care, they will keep their teeth their whole life. There, there is no inevitable tooth decay, and moreover, fluoride doesn't slow down tooth decay. Fluoride can help prevent it entirely. And the thing is, tooth decay hurts. I hear a lot of people saying that if you get a cavity, it will hurt to go to the dentist. And I really hate that because no, the dentist and dental professionals are there to take the pain away, and they do everything in their power to prevent more pain. You know, I hate seeing a kid come in with a cavity. I hate seeing children just in life with cavities. I hate seeing kids with even stains because I know that they're going to grow up and potentially be very self-conscious about it. So just no, no. There is no inevitable tooth decay. Your teeth are not constantly decaying. Your teeth are only decaying if you're neglecting them, and fluoride can help even more if you do just forget to brush one day or you forget to brush all the time on accident. Fluoride can help prevent cavities if you're not that diligent with your health care, with your oral care. And and the article goes on to say that 97% of Western Europe is using non-fluoridated water. And tooth decay has declined over the past 50 years in Western Europe, just as it has in the United States. Now, let's just say that's true. Their source is fluoridealert.org, so it's probably not. But let's just say it's true. Now, 90% of Western Europe using non-fluoridated water is an interesting statistic to bring up because Europe, they use fluoridated salt. A lot of places in Europe that don't have fluoridated water have fluoridated salt. And while that is not preferable because there are some people who can't eat salt, you know, if you've got COPD, you're going to want to avoid salt. If you're diabetic, you might want to avoid salt. If you've got hypertension, you're probably going to want to avoid salt. And you won't be getting enough fluoride in your diet if you have any of those conditions and you're living in Western Europe, apparently. but the majority of the population does still have access to fluoride. Moreover, if tooth decay has declined in the last 50 years, um, let's just say that they don't have a dietary source of fluoride. It's not in their water, it's not in their salt. Um, well, we now have fluoride in everything. If you're brushing your teeth, you're getting fluoride. When you go to the dentist, you're getting a fluoride varnish. When you use mouthwash, you're getting fluoride. And there's just very little chance of you being a person getting no access to fluoride. And that's because it has been universally agreed upon, and it has been studied and studied and studied to death. Fluoride makes your teeth stronger. So that's another really misleading thing. This is the part of the video that I was kind of hesitant to make because I hate saying bad things about fluoride. You can tell that I'm like too into fluoride for my own good, but it's because it is very helpful and it can prevent a lot of pain and embarrassment and unnecessary financial stress. But there are, of course, some people who cannot take it. If you are a child with all of your teeth, you're fine. You can drink tap water, you're good. If you are an adult, fluoride is going to be good for you. It's going to help you. If you are an old person who has no teeth, who lost all of their teeth, unfortunately, fluoride will also still be good for you. It's good for basically everyone, except for very young infants. Now, when I say that, I say it lightly. Breast milk has fluoride in it, and the amount of fluoride that breast milk has in it naturally is good for your baby. It is a very small amount, and it will not cause fluorosis. It's good for your baby. If you are formula feeding your infant, you're fine. There's fluoride in infant formula, and it's a tiny, tiny amount. It's like 1.1 to, not 1.1, my goodness. It's 0.1 to 0.57 parts per million. It is less than half of what we have as adults. Your baby is safe. Your baby will not get fluorosis, and the amount of fluoride that the infant formula or the breast milk has is going to be beneficial to them. It's going to help grow their hard tissues. And if you are a pregnant person, your fluoride, your dietary fluoride, your fluoride supplements, however you're getting it, unfortunately will not affect your baby at all. So on the one hand, your baby's not going to have fluorosis if you're drinking fluoridated water or going to the dentist and getting fluoride, or if you have fluoride in your toothpaste, it's not going to hurt your baby. The other side of that is that your baby's not going to have strong teeth just because you're taking fluoride in. So that's kind of a bummer. There is a small risk of infant fluorosis if you use tap water with your baby formula. So if you have city fluoridated water and you are giving your baby infant formula with that tap water, there is, of course, an associated risk of fluorosis, but it's not even a problem. Your child's bones will be fine. Your child's permanent teeth will be fine. It's really just sort of a personal aesthetic choice for you as a parent. And those are the only people for whom fluoride is bad. Fluoride does not cause cancer. If you have cancer and you had fluoride, those are not correlated. And the only thing fluoride can do to you is if you like chug your bottle of toothpaste, you can get a stomach ache. That's it. If you're spitting out your toothpaste, if you're making sure that your kid is spitting out their toothpaste, fluoride will never cause you any distress. And also, don't listen to the internet. I know that's hypocritical, but I'm wearing scrubs, so you can trust me.